Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? This is your hostess, Dr. Marcellina Ndidi, M.OPARAOJI, welcoming you warmly to episode 20, series 3 of our really now growing Ndisco'S Village Meeting podcast. Gather here. We have a very important topic to talk about today. And, this wasn't part of my um, deal. I had prepared something else, but this question came and I thought about it and I decided, why don't you tackle this and get clarification for, those who asked. And when it's a question or questions that are asked by more than one or two people, I think it's something that should be talked about or discussed so that everybody will have an idea what people are thinking about and clearing doubts on people's minds. Um, we they talk about mothers. This is all about mothers because some of us get confused, not confused, but ask questions as to okay, what's going on here? And this is about the celebration of motherhood. Um, Officially, the world um, came to a decision to celebrate mothers and all types of mothers. And it's appreciated. We really love it. But then the confusion is that if you are some people like me, I get like about three congratulatory messages in a year um, on the same celebration of motherhood. I'm not complaining about it. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But then people are like confused. So, for example, sometime last month or thereabout, there was a Mothering Sunday. And this one was conducted by um, um, some other churches, Protestant, Apostolic, and all that, Anglican, sorry, and all that. They celebrated Mother's Day, which is great. And then a few days ago on a Sunday, the Catholics, especially in Africa, I don't know, I don't think it happens everywhere else, celebrated Mothering Sunday. And come May, about first or second week of May, there will be another celebration of Mother's Day, and this is coming from the rest of the world, and it's bigger because uh, even including those who have celebrated Mothering Sunday also are included in this Mother's Day. So people get confused as to which one am I going to salute people for. And some people do all three. I get to get all three, and some other mothers do too. But the question is, what's the difference? Well, when you dig in, there is really not that much differences. The only thing is that one is has to do with religion aspect, the other one with really the world's way of looking at motherhood. So if you celebrated with Anglican or Protestants and all that on their own Mother's Day, it is Mother's Day. If you are in the Muslim religion or Jewish religion and you have other days to celebrate mothers due to religious, outlook, that's great. You are Catholics. You do that on Mothering Sunday with your beautiful outfits of the white and blue. We love that as well. And all these are in honor of Mother Mary, at least that of the Catholic Church. We're honoring Mother Mary and ourselves. So that's why we call it Mothering Sunday. And then in May, we have another one where all mothers get to be saluted. Again, nothing bad. Actually, mothers should be saluted every day. It's not just on a special day, but there is a reason why these are kept up. And so the question then begs, why this emphasis on saluting our mothers? Some of us remember our hours that have passed and gone beyond, and we remember all that they do for us or they do for us. We pray for them. And those who are sick, we pray that they get better and all that. So they are all mothers, mothers are mothers. So but the question that I keep asking, and I'm going to show you what question I wanted to ask today is this, you know. Um, so we are celebrated and we enjoy many officially dedicated appreciation days to being mothers. But the big question is, how is our mother-child relationship with our children? That's the biggest question. Whether you have one or you have 20, because there have been mothers who have birthed more than that. You have just a few, I mean, none, and you are a surrogate mother or a stepmom, grandma, and all that, all types of mothers. So that is the question. Which kind of um, relationship or what kind of relationship do you have with your offspring? Do you even have one? Okay. So that's our topic for today. And I want, in this case, for every mother to go deep in themselves and ask the question. Um, again, did I even share this? Hold on. I'm going to go back to share. I don't think I shared it right. But I posed the question to you all. And if I may share that again, I beg your pardon. Here you go. So, moms, this is the caption. You enjoy many officially dedicated appreciation days to motherhood. But how is your mommy-child relationship with your children? That is a question. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys that I was reading off without sharing. Okay. So that is what I want to ask. Think about it. Think deep. Again, you have one, you have none, you have all males, you have all females, you have mixed, you have twins, you have triplets, quadruplets, and all that. You have ones that are really all okay, and you have some that are physically challenged or, challenged in every which way. So, how do you handle that kind of motherhood? How do you communicate? How do you talk to them? And how do they talk to you? Can they come freely to you? That's the question. So, having showed you that and trying to make sense of it, one of the things that I discovered looking into this is that moms are the first teachers of any child. Nobody rules out the dad. The dad will always be there, or majority of them are there, not all of them, but they are there. But moms are their first contact because remember these little guys who were in this lady's womb for 9 months, and some of them are 9+ months or less. Um, and from that word go, they are learning the sounds of their mothers, the voices, and from there they are growing. And as soon as they come out of the womb, they are also recognizing that voice they've been hearing. And at that point, they are mimicking or listening and following the orders of this mom. You know, dads get involved at that early age, but still, the mom is like the closest aspect in most cases, not in all cases. Okay? So let's dig into that. So, in what ways do we see this relationship functioning in most cases? Communication. It has been said of all the schools of thought that I really looked at and all that, communication is just the key. How do you look at your kids? Even when I wrote my book, Written on an African Child in America, from the perspective of a Nigerian immigrant mom, I also came across all these people talking about communication, communication, communication. Now, it's explained to us that there are two types of that. So the relationship goes when there is what they call non-verbal or atmospheric cues type of communication. What does that mean? When the mother is able to talk to their child just with the eye, they call it the look. And it's also referred as bombastic side eye. It's significant. This comes about when your mother looks at you in a certain way, and they are indirectly or directly telling you without saying a word that the behavior you are exhibiting is unacceptable. Okay. So when, for example, you're taking something for strangers and they have told you even privately, don't do that. And you are taking, they will look at you, or you see children look at their mother's faces before they even accept that because they have been talked through that and again. So if you have that connection, that kind of connection with your kid, that they will look at you before that, then that relationship is fostering. In most cases, some of us grew up with the look. When mom looks at you in the public, in a certain way, they always look at you in a loving way. But there are some looks, and most of you know that, especially those of African origin, that when mom or dad actually, or both of them look at you a certain way, you are either in trouble or you're doing well, kind of stuff. And there is the audible cue aspect. This one is verbal, vocal. But they're not saying a word. They're using sounds, audible cues and sounds. And when your mom, in the midst of that coughs, a specific kind of cough, you better look around because you are doing something they are asking you. They don't want to embarrass you in front of public or people, but they will like cough or they clap in a certain way or move their heads, there's the sound, or tap their feet, that you are doing something untowards. Again, if there's a relationship that is going on and your child can understand that from you as a mom, you got something good going. Sometimes this relationship comes by the way of communication using sarcasm and wit. Our children do a lot of skits on this for us, of African origin. Um, for example, when they say you ask them to bring you a cup of water, and they might bring it to you and give and say, "Where can I put it?" And some of the kids will like say, "Mom will say, put it on my head." That is sarcasm because there's a table there. You know to put the drinks on the table. You know to do whatever they ask you to do. You know where they belong. So they sarcastically will tell you, okay, put it on my head, or put it on my head. So people, it has a lot of skit like that. Your mother is telling you you're getting it wrong. Okay. So that kind of sarcasm exists. We have the other communication that is of oral tradition and storytelling. So sometimes the moms use folk tales, proverbs, metaphors to relate, to communicate. And what they are doing at the same time is transmitting cultural values. They will start telling you stories. At least my grandmothers used to do that of when they grew up. Some will tell you how far they walked to school because if you're complaining about you rode your bicycle for 1 mile to go to school and it's too much and all that. Some of them will remind you of when they they walked 100 miles to their schools or balancing going down the hill to fetch water on their heads. By such a story, you begin to get the idea that you shouldn't be complaining. Whatever you are doing is not too much, and that's the way they build your confidence, your strength, and all that. And some of the times they will just say something that their mothers used to say to them or dads by way of proverbs, and you're gonna get it if you can get it. If you have that communication, that's a relationship going on. Sometimes these moms also use lessons on honesty. Okay. And it comes about when they start seeing this child not developing in that aspect of telling the truth. So in that, like they try to set clear rules as to what should be going on as you growing up. You tell lies. Um, they try to correct you by teaching you, no, don't say that again. You know, and so you have, but this is where we also tell parents that children observe sometimes more than they get your verbal feedback. They observe. So if you are telling by way of lessons on honesty, not to steal, not to do certain things in life, and you are doing it in front of them, or even if not in front of them, they sense you do it, even if you're hiding, being a hypocrite, kind of, they will know. And this is where mothers I encourage, if you are doing that, check yourself, because that relationship may not be as strong as you feel, because they are seeing something else different from what you are talking to them about. And so they're not learning. It's regression. Another aspect is historical narratives. Our children, there's some reasons why storytelling in our culture is a very relevant thing, and even in schools now in Western cultures, Asian cultures, they are introducing storytelling a whole lot, because this is a way of passing down histories to teach about our lineage and social origins and all that. In Igbo land, the tribe I came from, and I come from, I'm sorry. Yes, I came and I'm still in it. And other tribes as well. They use historical narratives a whole lot, to teach about what we have inherited or we're inherited from their ancestors. But this is where I also encourage people that when you're doing that, also if a child is in a different environment, try to show the differences between the cultures you are trying to relate them with or to, and weigh the pros and cons of each, or make them understand how the similarities come together. I think that's where we lose our children, when we're trying to enforce one culture, and then they are living in a different one, in their environment that they find themselves each day. The other aspect of communication that fosters the relationships is fitness balanced with warmth. Okay. Um, this is where you find the no nonsense style of some mothers, emphasizing high expectation. And we use it a whole lot, high expectation for behavior. And you've seen some of these, whether they're athletes or movie stars, when they are receiving their awards, they are talking about how their parents insisted on it. You had, and we do it all the time. You have a 90 out of 100, or you have a 99 out of 100. Okay, somebody's asking you, my parents will ask you, okay, that person who got 100, did they have two heads? So you were expected to also get that, or get better than anybody else. And that's what happens in the Nigerian culture that they brought to the world, where they are excelling in schools and everything. It's because of this kind of fitness balanced with warmth that their parents instilled at home. It's like you can be better than anybody else. And if you put your mind to it, you will be able to do that. And that's where we get that strength of belief that yes, we can. And no matter what, this is where Nigeria, they carry last, comes in, because you have been really, that relationship between you and your mother and your father are pushing you towards being the best you can be. The other aspect is authority and obedience. Okay. This is where you you obey rules, you listen, you obey. Don't break the rules, whether it's of man or of God. You listen. Okay. And breaking rules is not part of our DNA. They will tell you when the laws are stated, you do it. But then I will speak for the children that we are all raising in the Western world, that sometimes they're also taught in school to ask questions. Okay. You said I should jump. I will obey you to jump, but tell me why I am jumping. So I keep telling parents that that's in part of my book to say it's not enough to say, um, don't talk, keep quiet. And then without telling them why. Because, yes, in the other culture, we are told to do that and we obey completely. But the diaspora kid, for example, has been taught to ask your question, understand why something. And so, if you trace it back to our culture, say, for example, in Igbo, we will say, get the full nkịta akpịga eji ahụ, yeah, yeah, which translates to, if you are taking a tick off of a dog, show it to the dog so that the dog doesn't feel like he or she dog is being pinched. So in that color, if you are doing something to a young person, a child, um, let them know why you are doing what you're doing so that they understand and not feel like they have been tramped on with no without cause. But in other cultures where we grew up, in the old cultures where we're trying to bring them in, you don't ask questions, you do as you're told. So let's make sure we are not um, um, losing these kids because we are omitting and committing some aspects. Another aspect of forging that relationship is high accountability. Again, this is where mothers um, cannot accept, poor performances. You know, um, if the performances, and sometimes our children do that, they're blaming everybody else except themselves for what they are capable of doing. No, why didn't you pass that exam? My teacher didn't teach me well. Oh, really? So some parents will ask you, did others pass? You say yes. But you're blaming it. So the blame game shouldn't come into play anyhow. So this is what they are teaching. Our relationship with our kids will be to let them know that we are focusing on your own responsibility. What is that child responsible for, instead of blaming everybody else? And if you see in some societies, they don't look into what they are also contributing to the non-accountability or lack of accountability in the system. They're looking at the leaders or everybody else out there blaming, but what part did you play? That's why the parents are beginning to forge that. So communication is the key to find out what went wrong or what is going wrong. Active listening is another one. So active listening, is part of acknowledging. It's a valuable tool to acknowledge a child's, whether their feelings, or acknowledge their feelings as well. What is going on in their life? Listen, some of our parents, due to cultural upbringing, do not listen to the kids. Some mothers don't. They're like, I don't want to hear that. You don't know where it is, especially again for your diaspora kids. You listen. You don't cut them off because that's not how you are trained or what you're brought up. You weren't brought up in the same environment. So you listen. Even if you disagree with what they're saying, you listen and see where they're coming from. And that is part of the forging of the relationship. The other one is called the sandwich approach. The sandwich approach is nothing mystery or mysterious than giving constructive criticism. But before you do that, give them praise. No child is, you know, um, tabula rasa, like we say, no child is an empty drum. That every child has something that, you know, makes them unique. Each child has a gift. Either you haven't found it or it's there hidden and not even themselves knowing what they have. So, for whatever reason, whatever they do well, you give them a praise before you bring up what they're not doing well. That's another way to forge communication. We don't in African culture do it well. We always have to rebook and we don't even acknowledge. We play down any progress they have made, which is not good for communication between parents, we have been told. Uh, there is the binding. The other one is binding through activity. There is a reason why you see a mother and a daughter go to the salon to paint the fingers or do manicure and pedicure. It's not because this child is being taught to become somebody who gets pampered a whole lot that way. No, it's a bonding time. It doesn't have to be that manicure and pedicure. It could be going, somewhere to just for those few minutes between the two. This is where they teach you or they talk to you and tell you what is on their minds. I shared in my book that the way I started this was I would take my own child and some other children whose moms are at work or something when I have my own time, a little time, take them to museums and they will eat or go to the playgrounds. I just wanted because I wanted mine to have that extracurricular activity and there, when they are eating or playing, I will listen. They converse with each other. And I will pull from them, listening to them, what they're going through, what is being done to them in school or by other kids, especially of children with such names or accent or something. They really go through a whole lot. And that's when you will understand where they're coming from. Try it if you haven't. Some moms, especially the moms, for your daughters and your sons as well, you can bond through, cooking. Okay. So it's a binding activity, it's a bonding activity. They may not know the cook, so bring the salt, bring this. From that, maybe sometimes they start actually cooking their own meals, if possible, or doing some special dishes that they themselves can do. Um, Physical affection, okay? um, and what we call physical affection, and it's a type where the touch, the hugs, the touching of the face, the touching of the head, you know, putting your hand around the child's shoulder. It's a welcome warmth. Okay. And they know that you can imagine there are children who say, I've heard it all. My dad, my mom doesn't hug me. My dad doesn't hug me. They don't even say good night or all these little things that we see on TV or anywhere. Some children crave, all of them crave that touch. You're so beautiful. That little compliment we give them. Oh, look at you. You think you are that handsome. We in Africa, we will do it the other way. Like my son used to remember grandma saying to him, you are what? You are what means you are ugly in the Yoruba language. But he understood it to be the opposite. And that's one of the things he will remember grandma by. Grandma say you were what? So things like that, you compliment the child, they will remember that yes, there is something that they are good at. Last but not the least is the art symbol, the artistic symbol. You could also have a situation where you and your daughter, for example, you do the same style of hair, braiding, you do the same um, outfit to match, you know, and they relate to that as something that is akin to just two of them. So these are really some forms of relationship that people form with their kids, especially moms. Um, Mommyhood, like some people call it, or motherhood, is a gift. Not everybody has it. It is a privilege. We are asked to just take care of something given to us. We don't have all the answers for these kids. And most of all, some mothers are out there trying to teach others how to mother their own children, how they without taking, I call it, take off the boulder in your eyes before you start looking at the peck in somebody else's. Okay? Don't start saying, oh, your child should be doing this, your child be doing to another mother. Take care of your own. Because some of these people who do that, they don't even have relationship with their own kids. They don't talk to their own kids, maybe one or two, but the rest of them are looking at them like they don't even let them come close to them. But they have the impetus to talk to other women how to take care of their own. Don't do that. You don't have the blueprint. You don't know what is going on in this other family's life. Leave them alone. Okay? And those who go taking that advice to play because they think these people know better. No, they don't. Nobody knows better. I don't. I would claim that. But the fact that you have 10 or 20 or bigger ones or smaller ones doesn't make you the best mom of all of us are learning to be moms. Even when your child is 60 years old, you're still learning some things about them that you never learned. They are growing, they change, they keep going, and you go with them. You grow as they grow. And if you are one of those moms that your child calls you many times a day, chats with you, laughs with you, teaches you the newer way that you couldn't even ordinarily learn of where they are in their era, in other people's era. That's why sometimes I count myself. It's a blessing for me to talk to the young ones because I get to understand, and I thank God for the relationship also with mine who pushes me. I have shared that with you guys before. So moms, we are blessed to have been given this gift that many seek. Even if it's one you are given or 10 or 100, there are still other children out there that you can be a mother of, or play motherhood for, and they will be better for it in the long run. So on this note, I am going to call it the episode end. I just want to remind us of all that we can do with ours, and it all are embedded in communication with our offsprings. And that is why when they say mom, it melts our hearts. That's why the world celebrates mothers, even the strongest of them all, even the toughest of them all. They soften when it's mom, you know. And no matter how big they are or how small, they are still our babies, right? So talk to them, show them the verbal and nonverbal, be sarcastic with them, teach them through historical, narratives, teach them lessons on honesty. Use audible cues, if you have to cough or blink or, cry to get them where you're supposed to be, that's fine. Communicate, bind, develop that relationship, and hold them to that high accountability and responsible citizens, while you, as a mom, you are showing them the right way to do stuff. Okay? On that note, continue to be moms, good moms, sensible moms. They will remember at the end. Dads, you're not left out. We'll talk about you when we celebrate you. Again, thanks to all mom for what they do and continue to do. And when your children become the best of what they can be, you are smiling, you are laughing. Please subscribe to my NDISCO'S Village Meeting podcast. Thank you for a lot of you that are going back to even 3 years, according to the records being shared with me, that you still love those episodes. So please subscribe. It's not costing you a thing. Go to YouTube and subscribe. Okay? On that note, I'm saying Thank you for listening. This is your hostess, Dr. Marcellina Ndidi. Sayonara.